So yeah, I've been playing through the Metroid series. After playing Metroid Prime Remastered, I just felt like playing through the series because I get like that every time I play any Metroid game. I just want to like play all of them, or I think from now on
Yeah.
just the good ones. But the first Metroid game for the NES is one of the worst games I've ever played. And I played it once before on PC, the emulator, and I think I was a little more like loose with it this time, with it the first time.
Yeah.
But this time I played through it and I just had a guide open the whole time because I was literally like I want to figure out the fastest route possible because I want to play this as little as
Yeah.
needed. Um
There's
because
so much bullshit in that game.
it's pure bullshit. It is like not only is it hard, like you take a lot of damage if you get hit by anyone. You got to
Yes.
grind if you die because it starts you at 30 health every time. But also like it is fucking stupid what that game expects of you. Because it's an NES title and there is not much fucking difference between any of these rooms. Like playing this game without a fucking map would be impossible. Because there's no mini map in there, like all of them since Super Metroid and on have had a map, and it's like essential. So the thought of playing a Metroid game, let alone the most, like, repetitive one, like it's NES hardware, and there's not much different. If you're in Brinstar, like the main area, I guess, every fucking room has the same like 4 squares,
Yeah.
lining the walls, and it's just some of them are like a little different color, and like thinking of like having to memorize that or whatever is just beyond me. And
Yeah. I feel like that was almost like encouraged. Like I don't know where I read this or if it was in like the instruction manual, but I feel like it does say something along the lines of like you draw your own map to learn the locations of everything. Like it wants you to do that, but that's homework.
yeah, I thought about
That's
doing that with the OG Zelda. I kind of want to play through that and like make my own map of Hyrule, but
yeah,
Hyrule is still like way more defined. Like I could be
sure.
plopped in that map, and if I was playing it, I'd know roughly where I was. There's some repetition, but and also like that game is very archaic and very very clunky, Zelda.
Sure.
But it's
Yeah.
still like fun and has elements of like the series to be. And I will say, as far as like a prototype for Metroidvania, sure, Metroid NES has it there, but there is no fun to be had in that game.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of like those old NES games that are iconic but not necessarily good.
Yeah.
The genre wouldn't be what it is without those games, but if you go back to revisit them, even with some nostalgia blinders on, it's you can't like force yourself to smile and have a good time when you just die over. Because like I originally beat it on the Game Boy Advance. I have like the NES Classics edition.
Yeah.
So I did beat it, and I do
you
not believe I saved. I didn't. It doesn't have save states on it. So like I had to like.
Oh,
I think.
I saved scum the ever loving hell out of this game. I will say
playing
through most of the game, except for like the boss fights, just traversing the overworld. I only died like 2 or 3 times, and it was early on when I didn't have like any energy tanks.
Yeah.
Once I got a few energy tanks, you can take a few hits, but then as long as you're shooting dudes, you can get your energy back before you die. And then I think I beat Kraid the first time, and then maybe it took me. No, it took me a couple tries on Kraid, but I think I beat Ridley the first time.
Okay.
And then there's bits where like, and this is a mainstay for Metroid too, but the other Metroids, which is like the beauty of them, is they're so good at like naturally guiding you towards these points. but it does this thing where like you're at a dead end, or like you don't know where to go next, but then it's like, oh hey, that little block is a little different, or like, oh maybe if I bomb or shoot this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is that, like I said, when you're in an area, there's 3 or 4 different block. Everything looks the same, and there's somewhere it's like you don't even break a block. It's just invisible. It's like an invisible path hidden behind a wall, and you're supposed to find that. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I feel like there's like an energy tank in the ceiling somewhere really early off, and if you happen to like shoot at it, you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was there.
Yep. I mean, that is classic Metroid 2, and I'm a little more forgiving when it's like something like an E-tank or a missile tank, stuff that you don't need, but like if it's something that you need to progress further in the game, it's a lot worse. Yeah, that E-tank that you're talking about they actually replicate that in Super Metroid 2 in like the exact same location.
Oh, of course they do. That's funny.
But yeah, it's bad. It's a bad game. Everything else is great. Super. It's like if you were a completionist, do it once. Save scum. Don't hurt yourself over it, especially during Mother Brain. One of the most That's what like inspired me to like. I gotta like talk about this because the Mother Brain fight is like one of the most aggravating experiences I've ever had playing a game. It is designed. It's like designed to torture and be unfun. Like whoever thought that would be a fun way to end your game is a fucking idiot. It is, because all you're doing is you're trying to shoot this thing, but then you have these little things. It's the worst kind of bullet hell. And the thing is that like now with like bullet hell games like Cuphead, took me way more tries to beat bosses in Cuphead than it took me to beat Mother Brain. I beat Mother Brain on probably like my 5th or 6th try.
You're just mashing missiles.
Yeah. There's no nuance to it. And also, like, if I wasn't save stating, so I got this, benefit. If you die, you go back, and you have to trek all the way back through there. You have to shoot all the fucking Metroids again. And you have to grind your health back up. I don't think there's any way I would ever like have played this game if I couldn't save scum the shit out of it.
I would say the only real value you get from the original Metroid is the music. You get those OG classic songs.
Yeah, there are some that they like,
but otherwise,
yeah, the concept, but it's like that only goes so far.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when we were kind of talking about this last week, we were talking about other games in that wheelhouse, like Kid Icarus or Ghosts and Goblins. Just for some reason, ungodly tough, masochistic games that I can't imagine like playing those as a kid and like enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I don't even think was Ghosts and Goblins an arcade game?
Yeah, I think so.
Because they might be just trying to rip off kids from quarters.
Yeah, it could be.
Because it's like, let's make a game bullshit hard, so you have to dump $7 into it before you give up, and you're like, oh wait, no, this is just bad.
It's a mix between like being bullshit hard and just being like poor level design and the way the energy works when you die. Like I just think there's some easy shit that they could have fixed. Like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can deal with the hard game, but it's like when you got like stupid shit in it like that. That's what
half the
enemies
the enemies that crawl on the ground that you have to use the morph ball bomb to kill.
Yeah, that too.
You can't angle. Can you shoot up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can shoot basically up, left, and right, but you can't crouch. Mm-hmm. Can you jump and shoot down even? Nope. Damn. Nope. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, that's bad. But play the rest of them.
Yeah.
Because they're great. Welcome back to There Will Be Duds. Ladies and gents, this is episode 94. And I am your co-host, TJ, a.k.a. J-Spot Jack Cheese. And with me as always,
I'm Nick, a.k.a. Dr. Funk on Twitch.
And as always, we watched a movie. The movie this week being F for Fake. directed by Orson Welles, from 1973. It is ostensibly a documentary about an art forger named Elmer de Ori, a guy who made his living, made his money off of forging famous or paintings by a lot of famous artists, as well as Clifford Irving, a guy who wrote a biography about Elmer de Ori, who also forged an autobiography of Howard Hughes, and it also kind of delves into Howard Hughes himself and like a lot of myths that were told about him, a lot of like half like, you know, truths or nots about him as he kind of aged and became more and more of a recluse, all these kind of conspiracies that popped up about him, as well as Orson Welles himself and some lies he made about himself and got himself started in Hollywood, and just kind of a analysis of art itself and what the meaning of it is, and you know, if there is any meaning to it, if there's any meaning to authorship. Yeah, it's there's a lot of levels to this, but it all comes down to like, you know, is art like legitimate more or less, or like art, what is it good for, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent you the Bo Burnham "Art is a Lie, Nothing is Real."
Yeah,
that was like the first thing I thought of at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, is wild. It was very funny at times. I laughed out loud several times, especially anytime Orson Welles was just mugging to the camera and just saying absolutely wild shit with just such a little shit-eating grin.
He's such a little scamp.
like I've only seen this and like Citizen Kane in college a decade ago. But I'm like an Orson Welles stan now. I think he rules. I think like he rules because of this movie in my mind. It might be recency bias, but like I don't know. You don't get guys like that anymore, I feel like, and just him like doing all of this is insane.
The reason I think this movie like just sings so well, and just the whole attitude of it, it has a very particular attitude, and Orson Welles is like the only dude who can pull it off. It's this like self-serving pompousness, and yet like he fucking earns it at the same time.
Yeah,
like he's so like pretentious and full of himself, but it's like he deserves it, and he like he knows it, and he knows that he's earned it. Like he's on top of everything.
Yes.
And shit.
Is that a cat?
Yeah, my cat's fighting.
I'd never been on the stage, but I told them in Dublin I was a famous star from New York, and somehow got them to believe me. That's how I started. Began at the top, and have been working my way down ever since. If acting is an art, cooking up that bogus Broadway career was a fine case of art forgery.
There's a certain like nod, like almost like a nudge and a wink to his the way that he presents himself, that it's like yeah, if anyone else was acting like this, I'd be like, yeah, what a pretentious wad. But the way that he carries himself and the way that he speaks and that confidence that he has in his voice, you believe it.
Yeah. There's even a part in the movie where it does this a lot, where like other people will be talking, you know, they'll be like being interviewed by the camera, and then Orson Welles will be talking almost like he's having a conversation with them or something. Like he's like kind of feeding back or kind of giving context to something they're saying or something. And there's a part where Elmire is saying like, oh, you know, like I'm not sure what he's talking about exactly, but he's like, people say like artists are so you know, they're so prudish, or they're so and then Orson Welles, it like cuts to him and he's walking towards the camera and he goes, pretentious. And then he's like, and then Elmire's like, pretentious. And it's like, he like he knows what this is coming off. Like he knows. It's so good.
And he's got like his little sideways hat and his cape, and he's like constantly shrouded in fog.
Yeah,
like he's making himself like a mythological figure in his own movie.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody very, very pompous, and somebody very pretentious.
Like, you know, even at the beginning with like the magic trick, and he's just like, haha, yeah, so what if this coin turns into a key? And then like he turns and looks right at the camera. He's like, after all, I am a charlatan.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, awesome. It's so great. And it's like you said, there's like 4 different storylines going on where it's just like one thing will segue into like an extended segment. I was not expecting Howard Hughes to be involved in this in any way.
I forgot how much it focused. I remember the thing about Clifford Irvin writing a book about him. I forgot that he also like talks about Howard Hughes so much, like separate from that. But it's like a companion piece to The Aviator, because it like delves into like a lot of that. Yeah, like some of the stuff that we were talking about, and it like, oh, you know what was he up to in those later years? Yeah,
that's true. And I think, don't they even speculate if like Howard is like, if he even is dead or something like that? Or Did you watch like the 9-minute trailer that he made? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I watched that before we hopped on. But
oh, nice. Yeah. And there's multiple times where like it'll be Howard Hughes or Clifford Irving like over the phone, and then he'll be like, and then Orson Welles will be like, oh, but was that actually Howard Hughes? And it's never answered. It's just, it's like, you don't know.
Yeah. And I feel like that kind of gets at the heart of what the movie is really about. Because I feel like despite the veneer of the pretentiousness surrounding it, I do think that there are like points that he makes that he is like dead serious about. Especially about like, and it's,
sorry, go ahead. Finish.
About like the nature of art and experts, and just the sort of symbiotic there wouldn't be one without the other. And it's like in the context they're using it about art is like, well, there wouldn't be forgeries if there wasn't an art market. And it's like there wouldn't be, I'm trying to think, there wouldn't be like film criticism without like the market for it. I feel like he's trying to like expand on that idea and like apply it to like everything, or especially like film and like truth.
Yeah, or like there's the bit with the Cathedral of Chartres at the end, where he's like, that's the thing about like the, you know, does authorship matter, you know?
Yeah.
He's like there's no signatures on this, and yet it's like one of the most beautiful like things ever made by man. So like all these people are dead, but the art endures. So does it matter if these paintings are forged? You know, they're still beautiful or something. I love how Orson Welles, he lumps himself in. He's like, we, the beautiful people. There's a ton of, for being a documentary, it's so quotable too, and I think that's what it comes with. It's a documentary penned by Orson Welles.
Yes,
but there's even like lines that like they don't come from him that are still good. Like Elmire at one point, he says, "I don't feel bad for Modigliani. I feel good for me."
Yeah, there were a few from him from Orson Welles. There were like 2 in particular. The one that got the biggest laugh was where he was like, I didn't go to jail, I went to Hollywood.
Yep, that was good. I wrote that one down.
And then the other one was like, that's how I started. It began at the top, and I've been working my way down ever since.
That's the other one I wrote down. It's really good. Yeah, I have those 2 lines like right next to each other. Yeah.
Oh,
so good. I also wrote down where they're discussing like it's about there's some like legal dispute between Clifford Irving's book about Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes says like, oh, I never met him or whatever, blah blah blah, and then Orson Welles is like, oh, our lawyers told us that, or no, he says this takes us into murky waters, which our lawyers advised us against going into. But it's like, but he still mentions it, like you're still talking about it though.
Yeah. The whole time I was resisting the urge to Google any of the people involved, because for a second I was like, how much of this is reality? I very much would have believed that every person, other than, so Howard Hughes is like a real person, but like I anticipated the rug being pulled out entirely, and you know, the art forger and the forger who also wrote a forgery. I was waiting for it to be this meta narrative, and they're all paid actors, and like that's the twist. But for the most part, it is a true, yeah.
He says for the hour.
Which
tell you all the truth.
I thought it was based on actual events in the sense that Fargo is based on actual events. You know, like one of those kind of things. But no, it's pretty much exactly how it went down.
What do you think about the last like 20 minutes or whatever, where he's like, you know, he tells the story about Picasso, and then he's like, "Oh, I told you."
Doing this weird
for the
role
next
play
hour. With his girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah. But for the last 17 minutes, I've been lying my pants off or something. Lying my head off.
Like that he refers to like fakers as, he's like, we who he's like the men who engage in hanky-panky, or I don't know how he phrases it exactly.
But really, this is not, in any way the century of the hoax. We hanky-panky men have always been with you.
And that just adds to like the charm, I guess.
Oh, for sure.
I know somebody on Letterboxd said that like convincing it was like gaslighting people into like thinking that your girlfriend was so, because he was Oya was his partner.
Yeah.
It's like gaslighting the audience into thinking your girlfriend was so hot that Picasso made 22 paintings out of her as the ultimate flex.
Yeah. Yeah, because like in that 9-minute trailer, which is almost completely comprised of stuff that's not in the movie, she's like naked in half of it.
Yeah.
Which I think was also like a point of contention, because I think he like pitched that trailer and they were like, no, we can't show this on TV. Oh, that's another one. Yeah. Do you think I should confess to what? Committing masterpieces?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know, man. If you can plausibly create like a masterwork, like a forgery of a masterwork, you're like a talented painter. I don't know what to tell you.
I think that's
I think
point,
it's murky to like sell it for like $200,000. That's kind of a gray area. But like, if it was an easy thing, everyone would be doing it, but it's not.
I think the whole thing that it's positing is like, yeah, it is like in a way it is like murky to sell it for that much, but then it's like, but why is it okay to sell an actual Picasso for that much? Like, what makes his hand so much more pricey than Elmir's? Like, it's the name, right? But then it's like, it goes back to like, what does the name mean? What does it matter? What does it matter who
like he just like copies perfectly Orson Welles' signature and paints it. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, he's like there, and he says like an authentic He's like a genuine Orson Welles signature penned by Elmir Dahori. Yeah, and it's very I thought of the documentary Exit Through the Gift Shop, the Banksy documentary, because that also, like, Banksy is also very like anti-art critic art world. Like that's like one of his whole things is like, you know, the pretentiousness of the art world and the exclusionary nature of it, and being like, oh, this stuff is valuable because we say it is. But then they go into like, you know, oh, I went into one and I told them this is a genuine Picasso, and they said, oh yes, yeah, he would do the smoky air in the background and draw the lines as with as fine of a hand. And then I went to the other art dealer and I showed him the exact same painting and I told him it was a fake, and they're like, oh yes, Picasso would never draw the arm like that, or what, blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, it's
all
like,
fake.
Yeah,
it's all made up.
Yeah,
and like the people that get mad at it are silly. Didn't Banksy have like a thing where it was like one of his pieces went up for sale?
Yeah,
and
that's
then
more recent.
As soon as the sale was completed, like it self-ignited and caught on fire.
It went through it was really neat. It was like it was in a frame. It was in this like really thick frame, and then as soon as the sale went through, it started like the bottom of the frame was a paper shredder, and it just started going down through it. But then like everyone started freaking out, and it only like half shredded. So like, and I think in a sense maybe that's like, I don't know how I think he was kind of like irritated about that, because he just wanted it to get shredded. But in a way, it's also kind of like the best thing. It's like when you're making fun of somebody or whatever, and they like overreact, they like overcorrect, so it's like everyone's like, no, stop it. But
I feel like Banksy gets like made fun of a lot for being cringe, because I think a lot of his like the aesthetics I think are they're very 2010, and it's kind of like a time capsule, and if you see it like now, it's like oh wow, cell phone bad, like that kind of shit. But I don't know, like kind of after seeing this and having like a broader conversation about ownership and art and the whole art world and the phoniness of it all, I'm like, yeah, okay, Banksy had some points.
Yeah. Well, also
I think the Dismal Land, like I feel like it's only become cringe because I think there are a lot of people that the type of people that have latched onto it are dumb. So like the fans of his are just like, yeah, man, you got to open up your third eye, man. And you're like, no, shut up.
No, so that's what I like about him, is like all of his stuff is very like, it's like straight up. It's not like, it's just like, no, it's what I'm like showing. Like, it's pretty obvious if you just like, you know, if you're listening to what he's saying. But also like the documentary is great because it starts out as like these guys wanted to make a documentary about him, or this one guy wanted to make a documentary about him, and then Banksy was like, well, I'm not that interesting, but this guy is really interesting, so Banksy makes a documentary about that guy, and that's what Exit Through the Gift Shop is. It's not about Banksy really, but he's in it, but he's just like, he's like, I make artwork, but I'm not that interesting of a person, so I would rather, instead of somebody make one about me, I want to make one about this guy. And it's really cool. It's a really well-made documentary, and just really, I mean, the guy that he makes it about is a very interesting fellow.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Is Banksy Sam Hyde?
No. Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna make a documentary about you.
Yeah. And the other thing I thought of was Close Up. I thought this is a fun version of Close Up. not as much of a
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
it's
that's a
sort
super
of
bummer, but
yeah, it's not necessarily like a trial, but it's a sort of trial.
no, I just mean the
for-
whole like faking artistry and stuff like that, because that's what Close Up's about. Is the
Oh.
guy like impersonates the filmmaker and
That's right. Yeah. Okay, I see that connection.
yeah, and then there's a lot of like meta shit where like Abbas Kiarostami, the director of Close Up, also like kind of gets involved with the
Yeah.
story, and there's like the ending where like he meets the director that he was impersonating, but then like it turned like everything the director said to him there was scripted, and
Yeah.
a lot of like very meta about this stuff. Say the editing of this too is very unique, I'll say, for the time. It's and I'm not the first person to say this, but my first note was it was Orson Welles, the first YouTuber.
Yeah, there's definitely like I've seen a Letterboxd review that says that.
Is there?
That is
Okay,
like-
I wondered if there was. I
Yeah.
wondered if that's where I saw it. I actually looked up the Letterboxd reviews because I was like, am I stealing this from somebody? But I skimmed them and I didn't see anything, so I was like, okay, maybe I'm safe.
It was Nick Robinson.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot like it. It's very like YouTube video essay.
Yeah.
Um.
There's I just watched before we started recording. There's like an every frame a painting video about this movie and like basically how to construct video. This is like the blueprint for how to do that form. And,
Yeah,
like,
I've watched
Orson
that one a
Welles
couple
did
times.
it like 40 years ago.
Yeah. Very rapid. Like it's very quick movie. You know.
Yeah.
It's a tight 90, but it packs a shitload into it because it's just. I had to pause every time I wanted to take a note because I usually I'll do that for if we're watching foreign films and there's a lot of stuff going because I got to read the subtitles. But usually if we're doing Jackie Brown or whatever, I could take a note and I'd be good.
Yeah.
But this it's so fucking fast moving that I was like, okay, pause, because if I didn't, it'd be like 30 seconds later and it'd be like 5 scenes gone.
You're like, who are we talking about? Where are we? Why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
There's I like Adam Friedland's review of this. More like F for fat.
I also thought Elmir, if he was alive today, he would make a killing forging Pokemon cards. Because that
Oh my god. Yeah, his fate was kind of sad. He did you see how he
I
went?
did, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. He was born in 1905. When Pokemon was like what? 95?
I think
96?
so. 95.
He would have been so old if he was around to see Pokemon.
But right on the ball. He would have been like
his last little crusade is like, all right, I'm gonna make a holographic Charizard.
That'd be a good we should do a mockumentary of our own about forging nerd shit or whatever.
That was the other thing is I think this movie is a good example of why I like that style and why I feel like we do that style so well. Not necessarily the super duper meta narrative stuff, but mockumentaries in general. I don't know. This isn't a mockumentary.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a mockumentary, but it doesn't. I don't know. It simultaneously through Orson Welles himself kind of has that gravitas, but it has a sense of humor that I feel I think a lot of documentaries lack. Where this is very funny and it's kind of presenting its subject matter in a sort of tongue-in-cheek way. And I think that aspect of it appeals to me and the stuff that we do when we make these sort of pseudo documentary mockumentary things.
Yeah.
else was I gonna say? I feel like I've been like sitting on a point for a second, but I can't think of it.
Oh, did I already ask what you thought about? I feel like I was like leading into it, but then we got sidetracked about like how you felt about the. Oh, I think maybe I did.
But the extended Picasso segment.
Yeah. Like, how did you feel about the? Because I don't know. I like it, but I feel like somebody could watch that, and I'm thinking you didn't, given how positive you seem about the movie. But like, I feel like somebody could like watch that and then be like irritated when he's like, "Oh yeah, I was just lying." But like, you know, I think it's clever.
I think that was a good sort of a good punchline to that, because while I was watching it, I did feel that like kind of dragging on a little bit.
Yes.
With like the sort of like, he's like, "Oh, but the 22 paintings, I brought them and they weren't Picasso's, but." And I was like, yes, all right. Like, who are you again? You're the grandfather. Okay, you're Picasso. Like, the weird, like, the weird roles and the way that they were talking to each other. But then the punchline is, I only said I'd give you an hour of truth.
Yeah.
And that 17 minutes, I was lying my head off. So it's a very extended sequence, but it's a good punchline delivered. Again, with that sort of smug pretentiousness from Orson Welles.
That's what because I feel like I had the same thing. That's where I was like, near the end of that, where I was mostly into the story. Again, I'd seen this before, but I feel like I maybe had the same feeling as before. Like I was following it, but then it's the last like few minutes where they're just standing there in the fog talking to each other, like back and forth. That goes on for a bit, and that's where I was like, I checked the time a couple times. I was like, okay, there's only like 3 minutes left in this. I know how this ends this time, so I know they got to be getting to that soon. And then they do. And he's like, oh, it was all a fake. And it's almost like a case where you're like, oh, you son of a bitch. But then he's like, I told you. And I was lying my head off. And then you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah, all right.
Go ahead.
I feel like he also, or maybe it was the Every Frame of Painting video. I guess it was the Every Frame of Painting video. But, we were talking with Jeremy about like video essays and how a lot of the times they're just extended podcasts. And the Every Frame of Painting video talking about this is like, this is how you do a video essay, because a video essay is a film. And this is like perfect, because there's like you have to watch it. It's not something you just put on and like listen to.
Yeah, right.
I did find a way to bring in a Tar reference to this. Which is that one? Yeah. The only thought I had was, because I was watching this and I was like, are any of these characters real people, or are these all fictional? That was a thing that happened when Tar came out. People thought it was a biopic.
Oh, really?
So they were like Googling, people were like Googling Lydia Tar, Wikipedia, what happened to Lydia Tar. Like, they thought that it was like based on real events.
Weird.
So I refused.
Why?
I don't know.
Like, I'm not that big on like the symphony scene, but
I think because
I just wonder why that one in particular.
I think because a lot of it was based in like real stuff, like NPR interviews, and like, because I think even there's a segment of that movie where like it's like a snippet of a podcast that she's talking to Alec Baldwin on.
Oh,
so it's like, because Alec Baldwin does have like a New York City based podcast or whatever. And I guess the whole like the cancellation of Lydia Tar, I guess, is a prescient like topic in our current culture. So people were like, who is Lydia Tar? Wikipedia, like Reddit, people
funny.
trying to figure out if this is like a real person. But that was the whole time watching this movie. I was like, whether these people are real or not, I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
Because like the message you get about art and like who owns it and authorship and like meaning well after you're dead, is way more resonant. You know, it's like Orson Welles using them as a launching point to make his real point, which is, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I wonder if there's anybody who like did like a Twitter rant or like tried to actually cancel Lydia Tarr before realizing it. That'd be funny if there's some now since deleted, I'm sure, like Twitter posts.
Funny. I mean, there's an account that I follow that took like a picture of like Walter White and made just so y'all know, Walter White is a narcissistic, gaslighting piece of garbage, and you're wrong for knowing exactly like what they're doing.
Oh, okay.
And it spread like wildfire. People just like getting really mad at it, or being like, yeah. So it's just like we've kind of crossed that threshold. I feel like where, you know, art versus the artist, separating the art from the artist. I feel like again, this Orson Welles is like, it feels so present. It feels so like the ideas are so present that we're like still kind of grappling with. It's like timeless.
Yeah.
Like still running into those issues all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you good to go into scores?
Yeah.
Or is there anything else yet?
Nothing that I can think of. Oh, no, that was the other note.
Okay.
There was like a part, I don't know what part it was. I think it was cut back to Orson Welles like in the studio, like watching the film like being edited and like watching clips that we had just seen.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought came into my mind of like Orson Welles presents Impractical Jokers. And I think it would be if like Orson Welles is in the studio and he's like trying to direct people to do shit in public, because there is kind of that element where he's having her walk around in like that sort of revealing dress, and they're filming all the guys like gawking at her, but it's just like this man. Or like Orson Welles does like, I think you should leave, like the I don't want to be around anymore sketch.
Yeah.
He's like, this man does not want to be around anymore, but we're making him be around in this mall food court.
Yeah.
Like just hearing his narrative as he's explaining like Impractical Jokers is very funny. If I was a better improvisational comedian, I would come up with scenarios. Like some people can get Orson Welles' tone like so perfectly. Like I've told you about those like Twitter threads where it would be like him describe like Orson Welles watching a TV show like Supernatural, you know, something, you know, and then they'd go on and it's like, holy shit, it sounds just like him.
Yeah. That shit's great. Yeah, 'cause you could like splice in that, because there's a shot of like him at the editing studio, and then like something silly happens, and he's like, okay, now like hit their hat out of their hands, and they do that, and then it's that, and then he's like doing the like that crying laugh thing that they always do in the Practical Jokers or whatever. There's a part in this where he does like he laughs like pretty hard at something that Elmire says. He's like talking about Francois's shirt, the cinematographer. He's talking about his shirt, and then he says something, and I remember going back, and I was like, oh, what did he say? I like threw on subtitles because I was like, what did he say? Because like they thought it was like Orson Welles thought that was like hilarious, and it was just like an insult. It was just very basic. I was like, of course he thinks that's funny.
You know, we talk about your shirt, Rashida. It was indecently ugly. I can assure you.
I don't know. He's like a OG all-time hater. Like some of the stuff, like his opinions on movies of the time, I think were like particularly brutal.
Yeah,
but it's like he's like a once in a lifetime figure.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. After seeing this, I want to put more of his movies in the cup, because like it's a whole library of shit that I've never seen. I've seen like Citizen Kane in this, his first and last movie, basically.
Still still innovating after like 30
Yeah.
years, like with the editing style of this and
Yeah.
everything.
And because he's like what, 60 something at this point in time?
I think so. Yeah, he might not even be, because he died in 85. Yeah, no, he's not. He's like 58 when this came out.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's like mid 50s here.
Okay. Because I don't know, I feel like, starting in the 40s and having a career that long, I feel like a lot of directors kind of ease into comfortable filmmaking where it's like, yeah, these are the movies that I've always made and I'm going to continue to make them. But like being, I guess, in his mid to late 50s and just being able to constantly like reinvigorate and like reinvent genres or invent genres is like crazy.
Yeah.
Or The Shadows or something like that in The Third Man.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. I think it's you.
Is it me?
So.
I settled on an 8. Could go up with another viewing, but yeah, it was really cool. It was really neat to see something so fresh made in the early 70s that feels out of time and out of place. And
Yeah.
I think it's, of all the documentaries that we've watched, I think it's one of the most narratively interesting ones, where I feel like a lot of the documentaries, the director is really hardly involved at all, and this is Orson Welles is like, yeah, but really I'm the star of the show, and he pulls it off, he makes it work. Yeah, my only real criticisms, I guess, is like that one scene drags on a little bit, but the punchline of I was lying is pretty good. Definitely gotta rewatch it again though. I feel like there's it was just I was getting like whiplash the way it jumps from narrative to narrative, that it was almost kind of hard to follow sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8 is pretty good. 8 for great. I tried.
Nice. I went with a 7. It's but that said, it's like it's one of those like I love, and yet it's a 7.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right giving it any higher. It's one of those like I love talking about. I love Orson Welles in it, but it's like as a viewing experience for me, 7 is what feels right for me, because even watching it a second time, you still get that whiplash. It's still hard to follow some of the time. The way that Orson Welles speaks sometimes, it's like reading fucking Shakespeare. And I'm sure if he was alive right now and he was a fan of There'll Be Duds, he would be jerking himself off to that comment. But it's like just his syntax that he uses. It's very he uses a lot of big words, and I'm a dum-dum, and sometimes I need to just be like, that's it. Just takes me an extra second to understand what he was saying, but then you're already in a different scene. But yeah, he's such a interesting guy. He's so fun to watch. He's a guy that I could watch talk about fucking anything. So it's a very, very good 7, but it's a 7.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess, similar to like, because I think that's what I gave House too, right? Like House is a really neat special movie, and yet, it's still that, yeah.
All right, incoming hot take. Scream 6 was all right. Scream 5, not all right. I'm doing the what's that keyboard kid Derek comedy. Cool, all right.
Oh.
And he ends not all right.
Yeah.
Scream 5 was kind of a derivative in the bad way piece of shit. wasn't really all that great. Scream 6, I had fun with it. It's still, I still think my least favorite elements of like the post Wes Craven These Nuts movies are their attempt at doing meta commentary about like the rules and the nature of the movies. It just comes across as cringe, and like the Mindy character that does it is, I find her and her brother, I guess, are like kind of grating characters, because it's like a little too on the nose with the.
Those are the twins from the
they're
fifth
like
one, right? Yeah.
The nephews of Jamie Kennedy
I
or
forgot
something
about
like
that. That's so dumb.
Also, that shit I hate. I don't like that. Oh, I'm the cousin of this character.
Yeah.
Like I this is how you tie me back to the originals. Like, no, just make new characters. You don't have to, like, everyone has to be related in some way to a previous person.
In a way, it kind of works, because it's like Woodbury is supposed to be like a small town and everybody's related to,
Yeah, that's true.
But I also thought, like, from a movie standpoint, that was kind of dumb. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the change of location really helped. I think New York City is like an interesting place to do the movie. I don't know how much you want me to tell you about it. Are you going to go see it?
I will, but I don't know if I care enough. I mean,
okay.
even if I believe that I'll, like it more than the fifth one.
Yeah.
I don't.
There's like a subway sequence, which I think is in the trailer, but it's like a Halloween time, so like everyone on the subway is like wearing Halloween costumes. So it's like there's a bunch of ghost faces, and you don't know which one is like the real one, and like they're going through the tunnel, so like the lights are going out on the subway, and like there's one that's staring at him. It was pretty good at like at being suspenseful. It was like, it was actually kind of spooky.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think really kind of dragged it down was that they rely too much on the killer's coming back for one more final scare, right?
Yeah, they do that in like every single one.
This one is like, this one's particularly egregious, with like multiple characters getting dealt like what you would think would be like a fatal blow, and then actually they survived that, and here they come, now they're dead. Oh, but they survived that one too, here they come again. So they rely a little bit too much on that. But the intro sequence, I will say, is pretty good.
Okay. I think that's what I've heard pretty universally, is that it has a really good opening. Yeah.
I believe that it does. Also, I did catch the Tim Robinson references. Did I tell you about that?
You mentioned it.
One of the characters is like talking with her boyfriend, and the voice is Tim Robinson.
Okay.
And then at one of the party scenes, because like the Jenna Ortega and her sister, like they're college students now in New York City, so they're at like a sorority, fraternity, whatever, like one of those parties.
Yeah.
And there's a guy wearing a Dan Flash's shirt. So I was like, I was watching like a hawk to catch it, and it's almost blink and you miss it.
Oh, okay.
But he's clearly wearing like the one where he's like laying on the couch.
Yeah.
The one. Yeah, he's wearing it. So So that was cool to see. It was a nice little Easter egg.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, on Letterboxd, I don't even think I rated it on Letterboxd, but I would say 3, maybe 3.5.
Okay.
I thought it was all right. I thought it was fun, and the fun of the movie outweighed the annoying, like, grating meta commentary shit that they keep trying to do. They do the one girl does reference like, oh yeah, now the killer's probably got a Letterboxd account.
I heard that. Yeah, there was like a dig at Letterboxd, which I thought was kind of funny. Yeah, maybe that sort of change of location, and maybe change of pace in a sense. Maybe that is kind of like what I need, because 5 just felt, if it was like season 4 of Community, just like
Everyone's there. You're going through the motions, but something is clearly missing.
Yeah.
It's Wes Craven.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I'll check it out at some point. I'm sure. I'm probably not gonna see it in theaters, but
yeah, wait till it's
see it
streaming or find other means.
Right. Yeah. And then I don't. I put it down. I don't know what we'll say, but we saw the Room. At a local theater with Greg Sestero. He was cool.
Very nice man.
Yeah. I was a little worried when we got there because he looked. I know I told you this, but he looked very, very tired, and I was worried it was gonna be a case of I always go back to beginning of Galaxy Quest where it's just they don't want to be there. And it's just really depressing. But other than looking very tired, he was a good sport. I like seeing when there was that they had some audience members come up and do a script reading of one of the scenes. And he was kind of standing on the side of the stage, and he was cracking up, he was laughing.
Yeah.
So it's cool that he's still he still enjoys it. Because he's got to have done hundreds of these at this point.
Oh yeah, when I saw him in 2015 at the Alamo in Kalamazoo, I don't know if it was that exact same scene, because maybe I'm misremembering it, but I feel like the scene that he had them read was way more insane and weird, weird Tommy Wiseau-isms, way more.
Oh yeah. Because it's from the original script. That's right. Yeah.
His weird ass, broken English, broken understanding of America.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he seemed like a pretty chill dude. He liked your shirt, which was pretty sweet. It seemed that seemed
cool.
to kind of wake him up a little bit.
It did. Yeah. Yeah. Because he was, you could see he just had that. Maybe he looked tired, but maybe that's just his, his blue steel, because he was a model, and he always has that face.
He can't
that Greg face. But he was he's always just he's got that just kind of that look. But then he saw my shirt, and he was oh, he's got that shirt.
Yeah. Because like I said, even when we saw him initially in 2015, he was it was surreal. We just walked up to the doors to the theater.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he was just casually leaning against the wall outside, just oh hey, how's it going? And we were just oh hi. I don't know. I'm really bad at I guess celebrity encounters. I never know what to say because I'm way over analyzing. Just he's gonna think that I'm dumb or weird.
Yeah.
So it's you think about that one perfect thing that you want to say, and you repeat it over and over. You try to craft it into I'm gonna say the one thing that he's gonna think that I'm cool. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks like that, but I do.
I don't think you are, but I don't. I think a lot of people think like you, but I'm different.
Oh wow.
No, I don't know. I don't feel like that. I either just don't say anything, or
that's usually what I do.
Right. Or it depends on the situation too, because there's some times where I think most of the time if I'm talking to them though, I think I'm pretty good at just talking to them like they're people, just having a conversation with them, because to me I feel like that is what a celebrity wants the most, is to not be treated like a celebrity.
Yeah, usually I'll be oh hey, nice to meet you, thank you so much, shake your hand, kind of get a picture, and then just keep moving.
Yeah in a situation like that, you got to keep it quick because it was a line of people, that's a little different.
Yeah, and the viewing experience wasn't too bad.
Yes, the viewing experience of The Room. Yes.
the one that I was at all those years ago was kind of annoying because it was this one was less. This one, I think it helped because they handed out a little sheet of paper of what you're supposed to do at certain moments. The one that I was at
this one they did.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't.
Yeah,
see
they were
that.
like little sheets. They were like little sheets of paper. It was like how to view the room.
Oh,
And it even references Lisa's neck bulge, which I have never noticed before.
Oh,
And I think you're supposed to
hadn't
count
either.
how many times it bulges.
Oh,
That's why when
okay.
she was talking to what's her face, they're like 1, 2, because like she's leaning like this, and it's like a little thing like right there,
Yeah,
and it just
yeah.
like. And I was like, what are they counting? And then I noticed it, and then I could not unnotice it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But I think with that structure is what made it good, because when I saw it, it was literally just like every man for themselves doing like riff tracks.
oh,
So it
okay.
was just like people shouting jokes and responding, and it was like some of it was funny, a lot of it was not. And I think we were sitting next to like a couple guys that were trying to be very funny, and they just were not very funny, trying to riff the movie. Not like us.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good at it.
Well, I mean, or we just don't do anything like we did this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was okay with it. Yeah, there were some bits where I was like, okay, like we can stop the spoons after like the fifth time. Like,
Yeah.
we get it.
Yep.
My favorite parts about it was like how much it felt like we were doing like a live audience recording of like a sitcom. So like every time like somebody walked through the front door, because it's staged such like, Danny
Yeah.
walks in, he's like, hey guys, what's going on? And everybody's like, yeah, like Kramer just like slid in the door, or like
Yeah,
when there was
yeah.
like a sex scene going on and like people were like hollering and like whistling and stuff, and
Yeah.
that was the stuff that I liked the most.
Yeah, the part where it was like after the first sex scene when Johnny gets up, people were just like ass, ass,
Yeah,
ass,
that's good
ass, and then he stands up and they're like, oh!
Yeah, yeah,
that shit was good. That was primo shit.
yeah. There was more people than I was expecting who said that it was their first time watching the movie. I would recommend not doing that for your first viewing.
Nope.
But as a however many
As
times
a
I've seen
veteran.
it. Yeah, as a veteran. Yeah, it was fun.
No, I mean literally the first time I ever watched it, I think you or I don't know why I remember that night so specifically. It was like I think we went to go pick it up at Max Raymond's house.
Yeah, he had.
And
the
my
original
car got
copy.
stuck in the snow, and we had to push my car out. And then I think before we watched it, I think we went to like family fair, and we were wearing our Kohl's coats, and I think you inverted yours for some reason. Like you flipped it
I
completely.
know I did that sometimes. Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think you were referencing like Freddy Got Fingered, but I feel like when we were walking towards like the sliding doors, you were like, I'm the backwards man, because you were.
Oh.
I don't know if you said that or not, but I remember laughing at like the coat inverted, so like the fluffy part was out and like the
Yeah.
corduroy was inside. But yeah, we got it from Netflix on a DVD,
Yeah.
which is archaic now.
Yeah.
Which I don't even think it's on Netflix anymore.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
I don't think it's on anything.
I don't know why. Maybe unless that's like Tommy. Maybe he's now that there's like a big enough audience for it. He knows he
Yeah.
can make.
Or
more
like
of it,
the
just, like,
licensing
selling the
expired.
DVDs. Or that, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be so funny to just be scrolling, like how Netflix is set up now. Have like the thumbnails and like the big thing. Just
And like the
come up on-
autoplay.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
In a few minutes, bitch. They wouldn't put that in the autoplay.
No, it'd have to be, if it was autoplay, it'd have to be the flower shop scene, because you'd get the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the one to do.
That was another part that everyone shushed
Yeah,
at the flower
like
shop
dead
scene.
silent until the end, and then it was just like an uproar. Yeah, that was good too. I was when that came up, I was like, oh man, are we not gonna be able to hear this? But yeah, no, everybody like respects the flower shop
craft.
scene. Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. I watched after we or like the next day, I did a double feature of Best Friends, Fiends. Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
It was okay. It was even hard to take Tommy, like, I wasn't sure how to, like, take his character. Because in a sense, in a way, like, he almost, he plays a role that fits Tommy. To where, like, he's still Tommy and he's still, like, not great. But it's, like, it's not, like, the worst performance you've ever seen because, like, his character is supposed to be kind of, like, an oddball. So it's like, it almost kind of works. But then there's parts where, like, he's supposed to be, like, delivering serious lines and it's still Tommy. But I remember watching it, I was like, there's Greg's girlfriend character in it. I was like, I had said to Haley, I was like, I didn't think I would ever say this, but Tommy Wiseau is not the worst actor in these movies. It's that chick.
Oh man,
somebody delivers a worse performance than Tommy Wiseau.
That is a spectacle.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't even know if I'd say like watch it for that. It was like a novelty to just see Tommy and Greg in something again.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did
you frame that poster?
No, I didn't.
You just hung it up.
I have it up on tack right now. If I get
nice
a frame-o. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you got to get Tommy suckling. He looks like the Grudge. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it does kind of look like the Grudge. Yeah. Sorry, something like that.
Well, speaking of duds.
Yeah, speaking of duds.
I can't believe we're back here again.
Back here
Dud
again.
Week.
I know this was we had like 3 weeks, but God, it feels like we did Love on a Leash so recently. Love on a Leash.
This is our last dud till episode 100.
Yeah, because next month is that's a long month. Yeah, well, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we'll have to episode 100 is gonna be a dud episode, so
gotta be something real special.
I would almost, if we didn't just watch The Room, I was like, that would kind of be like a good one for that.
It would,
but yeah, we'll try to we'll think of what,
like Plan 9.
That was one that I was thinking, or like Troll 2,
like a classic. Ooh, Troll 2 would be a good one.
Something
that's
like
true.
That.
Yeah, there's a lot of like classic duds before The Room we could work with.
Yeah. Okay, but for next episode, we're gonna watch from 2004, directed by Matthew Bright, Tiptoes.
I was thinking of Tiptoes just now. Holy shit.
Nice.
Oh no.
Oh no, indeed. Yeah. So let's see. What is this one on? I don't think I looked this up because I have this one on DVD, so I just watch that. No. It's on Amazon. Okay, so there's there's an easy one. Amazon Vudu.
Free on Vudu.
It's for rent on YouTube.
Free on the Roku channel.
Yeah. So watch it at one of those if you don't want to be spoiled for Tiptoes. These episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on, are we just gonna, okay, so we'll see how long this goes for before we get hit with like a copyright strike, but we may just be doing the episodes on YouTube now, the video episodes on YouTube, and then stream like I've done a couple times, like a dud movie. It's not one that's like would be in the cup necessarily, but like I've been finding like bad movies on YouTube, and I'll just do like watch alongs, stuff that I don't think will get us like copyright strike because they're so like obscure. Or I guess like I found out after the last one that I don't know if you were watching when I was like looking into the company, but like that company distributed stuff that exclusively like didn't have like it wasn't like trademarked. So I think maybe that stuff is like okay to stream
like almost like fair use. Yeah. Sure.
So yeah, tentatively that's what we're doing on Twitch instead at 7 p.m. So come hang out there if you want. But then the episodes are on YouTube, and then in video form, in audio form on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. And we also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, I am I don't know. I'm a charlatan. TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me as always. Probably could have thought something better, but
as always, I'm sitting outside Picasso's house.
Oh. I'm picking up some of this.
Yeah, this will be better for the audio recording. Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch.
Right. How does he end it?
Yeah, we gotta get the ending.
I bid you, ladies and gentlemen, a good evening or something like that.